Hey, Steven here. I just revamped my entire review process to be more analytical and more data-driven. And I think this is the best way to provide value to these reviews. Let me know down below what you want to see tested in these reviews. Like how fast is the Atlas V2 while it's carrying me, or how fast am I while I'm carrying it? Remember, your recommendations make me a better reviewer. So don't be shy and ask away. Today, we're gonna put the brand new Exway Atlas 4-wheel drive version 2 through all of the tests and data collection process. This is my most anticipated board of 2025 because of Exway's legendary 4-wheel drive production board just got a major power boost that unlocks serious range potential as well. It's got a 66% boost in power and unlocks some serious, scary torque. Okay, enough talking, let's go testing. The overall deck length is about 39.5 inches. The footwell width is 10 inches at the widest point. In the center of the deck, it is roughly about 9.5 inches, so it's a little bit narrower in the center of the deck. And then the footwell space, 26 inches. The wheelbase is roughly 38.5 inches. The deck height is roughly about 6 inches off the ground. And then the ground clearance is roughly about 4.5 inches. The thickness of the deck is roughly about 42 centimeters. And 42 centimeters is roughly about 1.5, 1.6 inches. Super, super thin. Okay, so a couple of things I want to know. First is, can this thing stand on its own, on its side? So let's find out. Oh! So the answer is no. It's not going to stand on its own. So if you need to lean this against the wall, can you do it? Yeah, of course. Let's take off the wheel. Holy cow, this is a very, very lightweight. We're gonna see how much it weighs in just a little bit. Okay, so there is a pretty thick spacer in between the pulley and the wheel. Thank you, Exway, for clearly marking how many teeth it is that you are using on your pulley. And it is great for wheels from 150 millimeters to 175 millimeters. So I think Exway use a different type of pulley that is a little bit different from everyone else's. So on the very inner side of the pulley, the bearing that they're using is 6202 RZ. I'll put the size of this bearing here. And then over here, it is a 6901 RS. I think this is a 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter bearings, 608 RS. And this is a 160 millimeter wheel. This is a pretty standard offering from Exway's electric skateboards. Pretty grippy. And then the max PSI is about 50 PSI. Usually I run them about 20 to 30 for comfort. So the hub that they're using is definitely a 4-inch hub. Because Exway is using a 46T and then the motor pinion is a 14T, that means the entire gear drive ratio is a 4:1. That means it's a pretty much high torque setup. Next, does it have any handlebars of sorts for you to carry? No, they don't have handlebars, but Exway does sell an excellent, super effing awesome handlebar that I'm going to put on here in just a little bit. But you could just use your hands like a peasant. This is very grip friendly, so you're fine. You know, I like how Exway's own belts are even branded. The hanger width is 7 inches. And the total weight of the entire truck is 13 inches. The axles that Exway is using is 8 millimeters. And also the entire truck sits on a flat deck. So there's no angle built into the deck. The belts that they're using is 340. Now we're also going to weigh the wheel, 485 grams. That is incredibly light for the core, for all the bearings, tires, everything together for only 485 grams. To give you a perspective, this is a whole wheel setup that's made out of T7075 aluminum with racing tires. This whole setup is 815 grams. So this wheel is almost twice as heavy as that. This will drastically affect range. So my take is that the lighter it is, the better it is for better range. Unless you're doing something crazy like jumping off a building, these hard plastic inner cores are definitely good enough. Can you pull this thing? I would say yes, up to maybe that degree right there. But do remember, this is a four-wheel drive, so it's going to be quite heavy up here as well. Okay, so this is the current bushing setup for the Exway Atlas V2. If you're not, and you're going to have a flat washer, and you're going to have a fat cone, and you're going to have a fat barrel as well. All right, so to put this into perspective, these are the Riptide crank bushings, and you can see how small they are when they're put side by side as compared to the Atlas bushings. I'm very interested in testing out these bushings. These are much bigger, they're much different. I am curious about the performance of these type of bushings. Okay, so these motors, they say 4240 with 160 kV. 4240 is the internal stator, but most of the industry uses the external size. So I'm gonna actually have to measure that. It's pretty easy to measure. Okay, 52. So these motors are 5250 in the standard e-skate jargon. Let's also take a look at the belt tension. The belt tension is actually really good coming from the factories. It's near perfect. Okay, so we have a decibel meter about 1 foot away from the motors, and we're going to run it at full speed and see what kind of noise it produces. Let's hope this thing doesn't run off my table. About 86 decibels. That's actually pretty damn good for a belt drive. It is super quiet. And I finally got my metal rod. Let's go. Just gonna roll it over slowly so you can see the curvature of the deck. It flares up just a little bit towards the edge, but not too aggressively. Basically a very shallow W shape. This thing is magical. It extends your battery by adding another battery pack on it. So far, not a lot of other e-skate companies are doing this. So you want to conveniently extend your range and do it safely. This integrated system is one of the only ones on the market that does it right now. All right, so the next thing I want to see is the motor free spin speed. We're in mode 4, that's the fastest mode. 53 kilometers per hour. So yeah, this is super cool. I'm in the Exway app, and as soon as I turn it on, it says there's a firmware update. So basically it's updating the electric skateboard over the air. So I think this is one of the strongest suits of the Exway series, is because if there's any time that they need to update something, everything can be done over the air. As opposed to any other brands, they have to send you a brand new remote, which is expensive, and most brands don't want to do that when there's an issue with their electric skateboards. With Exway, if they find any issues with their electric skateboards, they're just going to issue an over-the-air update to fix it, which is super awesome. So basically, you can connect the remote. You see the little sign right here. It says the remote is now connected to your phone. And then with your phone, you can change a lot of the settings here. So there's the speed shift activation, and every time I do that, the remote is going to confirm that I have made the change. This allows for cruise control. Free mode is being able to back up without going to reverse. You just pull on brakes and then it's going to back up. Oh my gosh, free mode is freaking crazy. It goes forward just as fast as going backwards. 3, 2, 1, go. Going forward, now going backwards. Oh my gosh, it goes backwards at the same speed. Free mode is freaking crazy. I've never seen a board that's able to back up at the same speed. And then there will be a gear limit. So if you're ever handing your electric skateboard to like a younger person, you could potentially limit the gears on this electric skateboard so it doesn't go too fast. And then this is my favorite. This is standby days. Normally, most Hobbywing electric skateboards and all the other Jason electric skateboards has a standby day of 1. So this you can actually set it to 7 days. And then you can change your speed settings from kilometers to miles. You can change your wheel diameter settings, and you can change your transmission ratio. So power mode doesn't really just change your top speed. Power mode also change your acceleration curve. So your acceleration curve will be much more aggressive. And of course, you can customize that. You can throw that around. Braking force is 7. I don't know how strong 7 is right now, so I'm just going to keep it there. And the number of drive motors, that's 4. And then we have lighting settings. I'm going to tighten the trucks just a little bit more. Then I'm going to take draggy out for reading. Yeah, so still a little bit wobbly at these super high speeds. I'm just gonna crank these down a bit more. All right, range test, we're going to the park. So I'm on my range test right now. I have 2 bars of batteries used. I've gotten roughly 5.5 miles out of it. I'm gonna keep going. Just keep in mind that I am on full blast and I am in mode 4, which is turbo. The internal battery is 756 watt hours. But it is now also available to utilize the same massive external battery pack that was only reserved for the Atlas Pro series. The external battery pack increases the battery by another whopping 1037 watt hours, and you can get as many external battery packs as you want, so you can keep swapping and going and swapping and going and swapping and going. No other e-skate company has a quick swappable external battery pack solution right now. You know why other companies don't make external battery packs like this? That's because research and R&D is expensive, and Exway incurs a huge amount of risk and resources by developing and delivering such a polished and complex product. So one of the things I feel Exway does really well is how well this skateboard coasts. So when you let go of the throttle, it's tuned to coast very well. Otherwise, you have a lot of friction in your system because this is a 4-wheel drive with 4 belts. If you don't tune it well, then every time you let go of the throttle, you're gonna feel this really big braking sensation, but I don't feel it at all on this board. I feel like it even coasts better than traditional 2-wheel drives. Exway is also the only e-skate company that, again, researches and develops their own suite of accessories, from machine CNC handlebars to vest-compatible Rexus remotes to RGB synchronization across all RGB products such as wheels, deck, remote, and helmets. Exway has the most comprehensive parts ecosystem out of any electric skateboard companies out there. And I keep having to remind myself that I'm actually on a double Kimpin truck. So Exway team actually upgraded the trucks for the V2. So now it's using the trucks from the Atlas Pro. The Pro uses fat cone and chubby bushings. Fat cone and chubby bushings give you a pretty good stability boost and stability increase. When I'm on this electric skateboard, when I'm on the V2, I can zoom around really quickly without feeling too much wobbles. The fat cones and chubby bushings borrowed from the Atlas Pro are extremely stable for double Kimpin trucks if you keep the speed under 30 miles per hour. While I loved DKPs for carving, I've never truly enjoyed spirited high speed runs on DKPs. That is until I've tried these trucks. I'm pretty sure once I swap out the fat cones for double chubbies, it will resolve all of my high speed wobble problems over 30 miles per hour. Again, Riptide is the answer.
and I've got those on order. More tests incoming.
I'm at 2 bars left, so I'm roughly at 40% battery left. Used 3 bars, yeah, about 7 miles. A little bit more than 700 watt hours of battery, but it's powering 4 motors, so it's going to be very power hungry, but the performance feels really darn good.
With a 4-wheel drive system, power is evenly distributed across all 4 wheels. The board isn't just pushing from the rear, it's also pulling you from the front. That pulling sensation creates a whole new level of confidence and translates directly into better ride control. Let me explain. On a 2-wheel setup, when you accelerate hard, your body naturally leans forward, shifting most of your weight onto the front wheels. But since those wheels don't provide any power, the rear drivetrain isn't always available to maximize grip. In contrast, 4-wheel drive system feels completely different. When you shift your weight onto the front wheels, they're not just carrying the load, they're also delivering 50% of the forward drive. That pulling effect from the front, where the rider put most of their weight, makes the ride stable, intuitive, and almost too natural to ignore, especially under hard acceleration. Turning is just impressive as well. With all 4 wheels delivering power through a turn, the Atlas 4-wheel drive feels incredibly natural. I can push harder into turns knowing that traction is balanced across all 4 wheels instead of relying solely on the back wheels. It gives me a level of stability and confidence that I haven't felt before, especially on a board rocking double Kempin trucks. Is it the most powerful board I've ever tried? No. If you want raw, unrelenting power, that crown still goes to the Atlas Pro 4-wheel drive. But what the new Atlas version 2 4-wheel drive showed me is that riding isn't always about raw numbers. It's about how that power is delivered and how it shapes the ride quality. Specs on paper don't tell you that. The Atlas version 2 4-wheel drive strikes this perfect balance. Enough power to give you a wild, adrenaline-packed ride, but distributed in a way that feels controlled, confidence-boosting, and ultimately safer.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is travel at 15 miles per hour, and then I'm going to initiate braking when I'm at this cone. I'm going to slam on the brakes and see how far it takes me to stop. I'm going to do it 3 times. Let's go. Brakes are definitely super soft. I just increased the brakes to 9. Okay, roughly about the same. Still pretty soft. Okay, I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay, let's check it out. I start braking here, and those 3 cones over there are how long it took the Exway 4-wheel drive to stop. The furthest one is on a braking power of 7, and these 2 are on a braking power of 9. There's not a lot of difference. Okay, we're gonna use the measurement app, so let's go. This is the first cone. Mark it. Okay, so the first cone, 23 feet and 2 inches. That's the quickest it can stop. And you can roughly add about 3 or 4 more feet if you are in a softer mode. But that's the tightest stopping distance that I can get. Okay, so while we're doing the braking test, I have 1 bar left and it's blinking, it's telling me low battery. I think I have 20% or less battery left, and I've done 7.2 miles on this board. Okay, right now I am at roughly 5% battery-ish. 2, 1, go. Still not too bad. The torque is gone, but the top speed is still here. 0 to 10 miles per hour in 2.57 seconds, and then 0 to 20 in 9.34 seconds. So it took its sweet time to get up there, and it didn't get any faster than that. Okay, I'm at a point where the remote is just buzzing nonstop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the test now. Hey, I just ended the test, so I got about 9.2 miles. Be able to understand that this 9.2 miles is the absolute worst range that you can get. My weight is about 190 pounds. I was hoping for a little bit more than that, but hey, that's what the battery pack is for.
you can get an extra battery pack and you can just go on forever. But just keep in mind that this is a 4-wheel drive, and I was going in full blast the entire time, in gear 4, in turbo mode, and going as fast as I can, accelerating as fast as I can. So if you're a little bit lighter and you ride a little bit more casually, you're gonna get a lot more range out of it. Okay, let's go to the app. And with this, we can see what is the hottest thing on this electric skateboard to make sure everything looks normal. So this is the rear motors. The tires are 117 degrees Fahrenheit. The motors are 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Essentially, the tires are about 3 degrees hotter than the motors, which I think it's super interesting. And because the motors are dissipating heat, and you can see the entire truck is somewhat warm at 94 degrees Fahrenheit. And it should roughly be the same for the front as well. Wheels are a little bit cooler at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The front motors are also a little bit cooler as well at 109 degrees, just maybe about 5-6 degrees cooler. As you can see, the rest of the board, the deck still looks fine, but let's flip it to the other side. Okay, cool. So we're on the other side of the board. We can see in general, the underside of the deck is roughly about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, we have 2 ESCs. So the 2 ESCs are pretty darn hot. And let's see how hot is the ESC. It's roughly at 93 degrees for the rear motor and roughly at 91 for the front. So the front is always a little cooler. I'm not sure if it's because the front is a little bit weaker or it doesn't use as much energy. I know racers typically tune their front wheel drive just a little bit weaker than the rear, but also it could be because the front faces wind more, so you're gonna have more cooling effect. Everything looks pretty good, nothing abnormal. I just think it's interesting to know that the tires are sometimes hotter than the motors. Remember, this is a 4-wheel drive, which eats a lot of batteries. I expect a 2-wheel drive to get 70% of the claimed range, which is about 11 miles. So it makes sense to get only 9 miles when you double up the motors and the ESC. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. And also be sure to use the coupon code to save an additional $15 on your purchases, which also at the same time help to support the channel. Thank you so much and see you on the next one.